Hi everyone. Hi Taylor. How you doing this week?
Hello, hello. I'm doing good. How are you this week?
Very well. You survived the winter storm. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the shooting in
Oh,
Minnesota this
w-
weekend, and I wanted to get your
right,
sense of what the people in your neck of the woods and how they're reacting to this. I'm guessing not well, like most people.
right.
And I just want to acknowledge before we go any further, because this is a point that's been made by other people, and I just want to take a second to acknowledge that over 30 other people died in ICE custody in 2025, people who are not white. There's a bit of a criticism going around online as we're recording this on Monday afternoon that people seem to care a lot more when white people get shot and killed by ICE
Mm,
than when non-white people die in ICE custody. So I would just like to take this opportunity to say that I decry each and every one of them, and ICE should be defunded right this second or pulled back. Or I don't like. I'm not an American citizen. It's not my tax dollars, or it's not my country, and it's not my rules. But this can't continue. So.
No, what in the revelation is going on is kind of the thought when we wake up here every day. You don't know, and unfortunately, it's you've never had white people own the end of this, and now that it's
Mhm,
two back to back, people are. Um, Taking notice and they're making more noise, and it's kind of sad that it's came to that. Right is right, and wrong is wrong, and the rule of law should be the rule of law. If
mhm,
you can carry a gun to a protest and be a Republican and stand on steps with your gun, then if you have a conceal and carry permit, you should be able to have your gun concealed and carried, as long as you're not waving it and brandishing the gun. You're
mhm,
not presenting a threat. A cell phone, unfortunately, is more of a threat to these ICE agents that than a gun. It's what they
mhm,
record, it's what they see, and it's how quickly it gets out in the world we live in now. So it's just a mess, and I don't know how
mhm,
we're going to get to the bottom of it with a one-sided justice system right now. Who's going to investigate? Who's going to give us the
mhm.
answers we need to trust somebody, if we can ever trust again?
So I looked up the laws in Minneapolis and Minnesota generally. So Minnesota is a concealed carry state. So
Right?
you do need a permit, unlike some other state. I don't think in Alabama you need a permit. You
No,
could
good
just
old
walk
Alabama.
in,
We're
buy
just,
buy a
yeah.
handgun, and put it in your waistband
Yes.
and go on. You're fine. In Minnesota, you require training and a license, and all evidence shows that this person, Mr. Preddy, had all of that. So his gun was legal and he was carrying it legally, and you are allowed in Minnesota to carry a gun in most public places except where it's prohibited, so
Right.
courthouses and schools,
Banks.
for instance. Right, there's a couple of places where it's prohibited, but generally speaking, except for those exceptions, you're allowed to take it. You are not allowed to take, for instance, a long gun to a protest in Minnesota. That's against the law. So what this person was doing was perfectly legal, and the
Yes.
gun, he never, as far as, and I've watched way more footage of this shooting than I really wanted to, but I never saw him reach for it.
No, I didn't know when I first saw it that there was even a gun there. And
Exactly. It was
right,
hidden. Yeah.
right, until they pulled it out, and then you hear gunshots, and not one gunshot. I don't know how many gunshots there were, but it
I
was a
believe 10
lot.
in total.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
one person, like
Right.
where,
And there were
yeah,
6 or 7 against him. Yes.
hands on the ground, not posing a threat. This. Yeah, I have no words.
So as we record this late Monday afternoon, the latest that I saw was that the White House was now trying to distance the president from earlier comments and from whatever other people
Uh,
had said about this. Where they were all lying, basically saying that this
right,
guy was like without any evidence. They just say he was intent on massacring people. It's like, how,
just word
how how
vomit.
do you even get there? Like,
Right.
no. First of all, you can't just say that because you don't know what was in his head before he went there. Also, all evidence points to the contrary.
Right. It seemed to be that he was trying to help a woman that was shoved
that
down.
that had been excuse
Oh,
I'm keep going.
yes. A woman that was shoved down, and
Hmm.
he stopped to help someone up. Just like if someone fell at low meal, I would stop too. help them up. If it was like, Michael or cousin, I might laugh for a minute, but I would still help them up.
There you go. Exactly.
Right. And then the violent pepper spray starts, and you know, I,
Right.
I, I've never seen or haven't seen yet what led up to that point.
Hmm.
But I can't imagine just heckling grown men. What
Yeah.
kind of fragile masculinity do they have to have
And
to
bad
resort,
training.
or if
And
any
bad
training at
training. Yeah.
all? I
Exactly.
heard, and I can't quote where or if it's even true, but it was like the people that are in Homeland Security, the Border Patrol, ICE, were like the rejected policemen, the people that couldn't.
Right.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's kind of looking that way.
Hmm. Yes, certainly their training is not up to snuff. And you've seen a number of videos online from experts and like professionals and former Marines and
Absolutely.
snipers and police officers saying, the hell is
Right.
going
It's
on
not
here?
just
Right.
my
Like,
humble
mhm.
homosexual opinion. There is something systemically wrong with
One in
this.
particular was a Marine was saying that if an 18-year-old Marine soldier had done this in Iraq and even in a theater of war, he'd be court-martialed
Right.
because that's against every rule of engagement ever.
Or-
So
And I,
I think it's turning. I think this is going to be a turning point. And I hate, again, like to our earlier point. So it took two white people in 2 weeks to, turn this around. That's a sad comment, but at the same time, it was time to turn
it,
this around. And what I mean, we'll have to take it, and then we'll ask other questions
right.
later. But the
Right.
first step is to remove ICE from Minneapolis and St. Paul, allow people. I saw that Governor Walz has sent the not the National Guard, the what is that? Do you call
Yes.
this
National
state
Guard.
National
Yeah.
Guard? This is
Absolutely.
confusing to me. Why is it the state national? Anyway, the state National Guard to go and be deployed, and they were wearing high visibility vests to differentiate them from, and they
Absolutely.
of course
Well,
had no masks, right? And
right.
they
That's
were
the easiest way to spot them, right?
right, and they were serving donuts and hot chocolate and coffee and things to people protesting ICE. So it was a good way to try and diffuse some tension and try to say, okay, we're all on
Absolutely.
the same side here, and let's get this back to
Right. Let's dial it
somewhere.
back. Let's cool
That's
it
right.
off, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and I imagine because not everybody was out, because Huntsville has been the theater of like a wicked storm for the last few days. So you haven't really been out there. There hasn't been any kind of protest, I imagine, because people are having trouble even just getting outside the door because of all the ice and the cold.
Yes.
But I imagine that there's also, I've online certainly I've seen quite a bit of
It's
organizing against this and calling Congress people and saying, get on with get on
right.
this, like we have, this has to stop. So I imagine that that's what you're also hearing.
Yes, that's what we're hearing here. Except, Alabama voted for the funding bill to keep funding ICE. So
Hmm.
we've got to make noise. We've got to get with our Congress representatives, our senators, and let them know it's not okay. Like don't throw good money after bad. We've got to have security. We've got to have a safe border. But this is doing neither of those things.
Exactly. And I think
Like,
even, yeah.
right? You're not even bringing illegals in. Like at this point, it's if anybody tries to stand up against you, then we'll just shoot you. And it's just a scary time to live in.
Mhm. And even the NRA. So I posted on my social
Yes.
networks a few days ago. I said, almost like, I wonder what the NRA is going to say about this. Because so far they had somehow, whoops, we forgot to rise against
Oopsie.
tyranny, right? Because that was the whole point of gun rights, is that
Absolutely.
it's to defend for the citizenry to be able to defend themselves against, a government that goes too far. And for some reason, the NRA was like silent against all of this, but they actually did come out yesterday with a statement that said that it was wrong to, I'm paraphrasing liberally, but it's just wrong to blame the victim for having a gun. That's
Yes.
just not okay. Right.
Right. When
So
it's a school
good for
shooter,
them.
we
Hmm.
don't blame the shooter. We blame, it's sad that it's come to this. It's that the children weren't enough. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But
Hmm. We have to take the progress where it is and then ask other questions later, I guess.
that's
So we'll
right.
have a lot of thinking and talking about to do about this.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So, moving on to a more fun topic. So, the storm in
Yes.
the end did not create too much trouble in
Mm.
Huntsville. There was a lot of people worried about it. And, from my point of view, it's always cute, like when there's snow and people freak out because I'm like,
Right.
you're adorable.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, like you don't have any winter tires. You're not, yeah, most people don't even have a shovel. Some people don't have quite the right kind of heating in their home. Also, like more disadvantaged people may not have the right installations to like really have their pipes not freeze and burst and freeze to death. So there's a number of emergency measures that were put into place. And one group in particular, which I love, is a group of Jeep owners, and they
Yes.
call themselves the Wranglers, and so they have four-wheel drives on those Jeeps, and better tires than what you'd find on an average vehicle. And so they volunteer to get people where they need to be, even when
Yes.
the
To and
roads are a little
fro.
iffy. They say, you know what, we have the vehicles, and we'll be there for you. So talk about a community that just comes together in
It
times
was
of
in
challenge like
times of
this.
need, but
Hmm.
even when it's not a time of need, they're very active in the community and the parades, the hospitals. When they pop up all the time. It's not just a Jeep club that goes out to go mud riding. They put their money where their mouth is, and when the rubber hits the road, they're out there to help. So
It's so
it's
lovely.
right. It's cool to have. I guess I could have offered to drive people around in the Tesla, but
They may
you
not have taken you up on it because
right. You
it
don't
does.
want me
It's not.
driving in the ice
Yeah.
anyway. It's heavy enough to handle snow and ice, but you
Mhm.
don't want me driving in that. Not really.
If you're not trained and you don't have the
No, no, no.
4-wheel drive makes a difference. Trust me.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is four wheel
Mhm.
drive. It's all
Oh,
wheel
yours
drive,
is
but
okay. I didn't know
yes,
that. Hmm.
yes. So, but yeah, you don't want me out there. I've just been in the house all weekend, and it's been lovely.
And you've
Lots of
been
cleaning.
painting.
Yes, I've been painting, but this weekend we brought in the big ladders, the 12-foot ladders to get our big new piece of art up to where it goes in the gallery. And so while we had them, we've dusted the whole gallery because it's
Oh,
so tall.
right.
You can't dust it on a regular basis. So we've put the time indoors to good use.
Oh, excellent. It's like the old joke with the old person that bends down to retie their shoe and say, anything else I can do while I'm down here?
That's
Because you
absolutely.
don't
It
get
was
down
just the
there too often.
opposite, but
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, fun.
So
And
that
you're
was
preparing. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, no. Go ahead. That was just done.
I was just gonna me too. I was just gonna say I've seen some of your new paintings that you've posted on social networks, and they're beautiful.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
at
Thank
some
you.
point you'll have an online gallery where I can just put one link, right? You will have something like that at some point?
Absolutely,
Yeah, so
yes.
we
We'll
could
talk to
like
Mike
share your
about getting
uh-huh.
a website up and running. So,
That would be great. That way you could
right,
just like one
he's
link
and here
send
it
people to
is.
that one.
Right, I'm the
Hmm.
art and he is the science. So, like,
That's a perfect
I can give you
marriage.
all the right creativity you want, but when it comes to building a website, not my strong suit. So
Hmm.
that's his wheelhouse.
Yours is a culture, and you were at a what was it like a kind of an announcement about the cultural policy in Huntsville? Tell me about that.
So it was the Arts Huntsville grant awards for nonprofit arts in the community, whether they be musical arts, theater arts, visual arts. The city has earmarked $300,000 to give away in just grants for nonprofit organizations. And that's in addition to their public art projects that are already slated that they pay for to make the city so cool. So it was it was an amazing night to see what the city does to help um, grow the community through the arts and attract. We have 12 people a day that move to Huntsville, which,
Hmm.
compared to bigger cities, is not, substantial. But these little things that the Arts Council does make such a difference, even with attracting Eli Lilly. They
Hmm.
came to the city and toured and to see what was on the horizon in the art. And, they'll tour them through the meal. And it was just so cool. And three of the recipients of the grants were from Low Mill. So
Excellent.
yes,
Hmm.
great. It was a fun night to see, and it just to be in Alabama, we live in a very progressive city that believes in the
I
arts and supports it
That's right.
wholeheartedly.
And there's some kind of mandate too, like when something goes up of a certain size, like a certain building of like not every house, but like there's a new hotel that's on around Big Spring Park, for instance, where there's a piece of sculpture that's kind of
Hmm.
abstract thing. I haven't seen it yet in person, but I've seen pictures of it, and I can't quite figure out what the art's supposed to mean. But like that's neither here nor there. But the piece of public art, yeah, don't wait for me, right? The piece of public art was up before the hotel was even open.
Absolutely.
Right.
They
And I don't think anybody would dare open a new, like, biggish building, a hotel, a restaurant, a store, like something big without some kind of art in
Yes,
this
and
city.
it's they're planning so far down the road, which is a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
That these developers are being so artful with their architecture that
Hmm.
they want to put safeguards in place so as things develop over time that we have to keep up to the standard. It's not just we're doing it now and then 10 years down the road it's going to be a different look, but to keep the city aesthetically pleasing and to keep it a fun place to be. Our downtown is it's beautiful.
Hmm.
And all of our little communities that make it so unique here in Huntsville, but they've done just a knockout job all around, I think. So
I
it
think
was cool to see. Yeah.
downtown Huntsville, this the name, this that's the name of the group. I think there's even like this little, there's a, it's not a business, it's
Downtown
like it's a
Inc.
not for
Yes.
downtown Inc. That's right, it's a not for profit, I believe, and
Right.
their job is kind of like a business improvement area kind of job, but just for the
Hmm.
downtown. And they really are doing a bang up job of this city of downtown is clean, safe,
Hmm.
and has a really good variety of different
Of
kinds of
whatever
things.
you
So it's, yeah, exactly, and lots of art, and easy parking, easy to get to.
right.
Like, it's just a wonderful place,
It's
and they're
cool.
really doing
And
a great job.
they work side by side with Mayor Battle's administration and with Arts Huntsville, which is another nonprofit. And it's coming out seamlessly. They couldn't have planned better. So
Good. And then I wanted to finish by sending a bouquet of flowers, real ones, not even ironically, to the whole state of Alabama for one piece of legislation that went through last week, that will ban non-disclosure agreements, NDAs as we call them in the business, from being used in cases of sexual assault. So just for a little bit of like a very 101 on this, when a sexual harassment case or a sexual misconduct case of any kind
mhm,
doesn't go to court but gets a settlement out of court. So the abuser agrees to pay the victim so much money for the victim to shut up about it, right? Like, think of Stormy Daniels. just
there you
just
go.
just to pick an example at random. Um, very often these are done, especially in cases less prominent than this one. These are done where the perpetrator is a person in a position of influence or power
Mhm.
over the victim, and the victim feels like they don't really have a choice. Proving sexual misconduct in court, good luck, right? It's really, really hard unless you have very hard evidence. And in most cases, you don't. So
You
it's your
don't.
word against his and blah, blah, blah. And then also, they often need the money. So they will take, I don't know, $300,000 to shut up, right? And so that's called an, that's a practice that's been in use in a lot of places in North America. In Canada, there's a group dedicated to ending this practice.
As it
Non-disclosure
should be.
agreements Non-disclosure agreements, or for instance, you work at a company where there's intellectual property that's like very, very valuable. You leave that company, you can't just take the secrets with you, right? So you agree to not share those. So that's
Makes
a perfect
sense.
use for a non-disclosure agreement. But in order to shut up, to hide the misconduct of a prominent
Right.
person, not okay. And in Canada, it's taken years and years and years, and we still have not banned this practice. But
Wow.
Alabama this week did. So yay you,
Yay for us for doing something before Canada. That's very,
right?
and when
Right.
you sent me this link, I had no idea that this even, I knew I was familiar with NDAs in the business world, but that you
Oh,
can use
yes.
them to
Routinely
hide,
they are used. Yes.
right, sexual
Right.
predators of
Hmm.
any level. It was mind boggling. So,
Hmm.
yay, look at
Good for
us.
Alabama to
We
have
can't
ended up
harvest organs
and
anymore, and we're not using NDAs. So we're just checking those damn boxes off, aren't we?
one after the other. So I just enjoy pointing out when Alabama does something very right, that other
Absolutely.
jurisdictions are still having trouble doing. So
We're
good
getting
on ya.
there. We're getting there.
Hmm. All right. Other
All
than that,
right.
anything else going on other than you watched a speech from Mark Carney, our prime minister at Davos? Have you looked at that a little bit? He made a big speech
No,
that
I did
really
not.
upset Donald Trump because everybody paid attention to Mark Carney's speech. Have a look at it. It's a bit
Yeah, I'll
long, but
check it
it's
out.
really good about the New World Order
Right, right.
and
He's so
it
delicate that way. Everything hurts his feelings.
right. And then Donald Trump showed up and rambled on about Iceland when he met Greenland and blah blah blah.
When he came on, I cut the
Mhm,
TV off. I was like, I
yeah.
don't. But
hmm
Emmanuel Macron's butchered that sunglasses.
That he had an eye infection. That's why.
It doesn't matter. They were
Yeah,
beautiful.
but they
And
were beautiful.
they were
He's very put
beautiful.
together.
I
Nice.
was like, I need these sunglasses before the
Yeah.
springtime.
They were
So good
probably
job,
Vernay.
France. I don't
It's a
remember
French
the
brand.
company. It was an older French company
Yeah,
that had
Vernay
kind of
probably. Yeah,
fallen out of fashion, and
yeah,
he's bringing them right back into the spotlight. So it reached
yeah.
Alabama. So good job.
It's my favorite brand of sunglasses. I love
Yay,
them
good.
much more than Ray-Bans. So I'm pretty sure those. I didn't check in this story, but I would bet. Uh, right,
Yes.
I'm confident enough to make that. I'll go and check, and then if I was wrong, I say I was wrong. But I
Ah,
think they were
they're
Vernay.
beautiful. I was like, I
All
need
right.
those aviators.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
next Christmas or
That
something, or your
that
birthday.
next
They're all
Christmas,
yeah. It's
like
all
St.
late.
Patrick Day, Valentine's
Yeah,
Day,
there's something
like
before that. Yeah, there we go.
disarmament day, like whatever, like we'll find a
Anything.
reason. Yeah.
Thursday, we'll get.
That's
It's a
right.
great excuse. All right.
Right. All
All right
right. Well,
then. I'll
have a
talk to
great
you
week.
soon.
All
You
right.
too. Bye.
Always a pleasure. Bye bye.